let's get started with our street scene in Cuba. Before we use the watercolors, I'm going to set these brushes aside because we're going to sketch out our buildings with the oil pastels. I have brown and black here. So we're going to start with the black, and we're going to make a line that is more than halfway down. So here's the top of my paper. Here's about halfway. I'm going to go even lower than that. And I'm going to make a line straight as I can across. And I'm going to start lightly. So just lightly going across here, and there's my line. I'll make mine a little darker so that you can see it better, but you don't have to. Okay, so here's my line. And then we're going to make two more lines going up for the buildings, okay? The middle building is just a little bit bigger, so they're not exactly even. And the two side ones are a little smaller. So I'm gonna go like this, straight up. Again, you don't have to push too hard. I'm doing it lightly, and then I'm gonna come out about the same distance. Just eyeball it, no rulers today. And we're going to go up again. Okay. Very good. Giving you guys a second to make sure you're happy with your lines before we move on. And then we're going to, from the top, I'm going to come down about to here. And I'm going to make a line across again. Again, I'm not pushing hard. I'm just lightly going across. I'm going to go across mine again so you could see it. All right. Then I'm going to come down a little bit more and do one more. Now, I want you to see here that the biggest area is down here. Okay. All right. Now, over in these sections at the bottom here, I'm going to make arches. So the first one kind of falls off the page. So it's like a half of an arch, like that. Then I'm going to leave a little space and make another arch. Leave a little space and make another arch. All right. Now with my black, start light because you could always go back over it. And on a diagonal, I'm just going to color that in. Same thing on this one. This one I'm going to color most of it in. The last one. So if you notice, this is a little bit darker than the lines we were making earlier. So if you need to, you can just go over it lightly again to make it a little bit darker. All right. I'm sure yours look great. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to skip a space, make another arch. I'm going to make 3 in here. So one kind of in the middle. So we made 3 arches. color them in too. So I keep doing this on a diagonal. And I'm leaving a little space here. And I have one more for this section. Okay, now we're going to do, see how many we could fit. 1 and 2, and maybe a piece of 1 falling off the page there. Now you're a pro at coloring in these diagonals because we've done it 6 other times. So on a diagonal, color them in. Okay, so we're going to switch colors for a minute. And we're going to do some blending, which is what I love about oil pastels. So you're going to take your brown, and we'll start back over here, and we're going to go on top, right on top of the black. And we're blending it in, see that? And then we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of that arch that we left white before. And you can change direction so that you're not coloring on the diagonal. You can go up and down, side to side, so that it fills in all of the white spaces. And then we'll move on to the next one. So I'm just going right on top. So when you use oil pastels, you have to be patient because the more layers you put on it, the nicer it's going to look. So there's no rushing it when you do oil pastels. Okay. Doesn't that look pretty? It's nice and blended. Now I'm going to do the next one. They definitely are messy. We will get messy, but you can wash your hands later. Okay, and we're just going to keep going down the line with all of these windows and blend them. Now I'm on my middle window. And with the oil pastels, if it wears down to the paper, you can just peel some of the paper back and keep going. See if I could find the little split. I try not to rip all the paper off. Here, I'll show you. I just rip some of it off, and then I still have some paper to hold on to. See, I'm really making sure that I get every white space. Yeah, on my last set of windows over here. If you're not there yet, that's okay. If you need to, you can shake your fingers out. I know this is a lot of work, this part. But you'll see it's going to be worth it. This picture is going to be so nice, you can put it in a picture frame. Hang it on the wall or give it to someone you love. Okay, and I'm onto that tiny little sliver here. My little arch that falls off the page. Okay. Give you a second to finish yours. Then we're going to do a couple of little rectangle windows here. Just lightly filling them in. They don't have to be perfect. We're going to throw paint on top of all of this. So there's 3. We'll do 3 here. Kind of putting them directly above the arches that we made below. Okay, then I'm going to take this color again, the brown. Oopsie, I broke mine. I'll use the other side because it's bigger. No big deal. Okay. So we're just adding that layer on top. Okay, and now I'm going to get a little bit messy because I want to like smudge this up a little bit. So I'm just going to take my finger and smudge. So it's okay when you smudge if it gets outside of there. I want the building to look old. I'm just kind of going over them. See, it's okay. And I'm going to do some smudging so it goes outside the lines here too. Smudge, smudge, smudge. Kind of going side to side, in between. Just in between all of these. Okay. Yay, we're getting there. All right. You can do a light line on top of your black lines that go up the building. Just a little light line and smudge. That's with the brown. Okay, and then last are going to be back to the black, and I'm going to make a long window that falls off. Okay, so I'm making this long rectangle that falls off the page, filling it in black, like that. And another one. And then a little one over here. Up here, I'm not going to do anything. And then on this one, falls off the page again. And back on top with our brown. Just smudging it. In the same way we did before, I'm going to take my finger and blend them. All right, this is looking awesome. I'm going to take my dirty finger and I want to make like a little shadow down here. It's not blending enough. Okay, let's take our brown and we're just going to drag a little, kind of like a zigzag of a shadow. Zigzagging it. Tiny bit of black. And take our finger and blend. There. Now we have a little bit of a shadow. All right. And then let's go a little further down. You could even turn it on its side and we'll do just a tiny bit of a shadow at the bottom. And again, just take your finger and smudge it. There. Okay. And I'm going to make with the black now a little railing. Okay, so we have our line here. You can go over it one more time to make it a little bit darker. Oop, be careful, don't hit your watercolors. I almost spilled mine. And then I'm going to go up a little bit higher, and it's okay if you cross over the window a little. And I'm going to go like this. All the way across. Okay, and then we're going to make little lines like that all the way across. And that'll be our little railing. See, it's easy when you break it down into shapes. All we did were lines, rectangles, squares. I'm going to do another railing over here. And this one's going to be smaller. So now I can make this line a little bit darker. Another line that goes straight through. And then the up and down lines. Like that. Okay. So I'm giving you just a second to make sure that you have your railing all drawn, all those little lines that go across. Don't worry about your messy fingers. We'll clean those later. And now, okay, so who's ready to start using your paintbrush and the watercolors? So we're going to use our big brush and we're going to dip it into the yellow. So I'm going to get a little bit of yellow both sides of my brush. And I want it the darkest over here. So because oil pastels resist, you don't even have to worry about painting around. You can paint right through it. So I'm only going to dab it right here like that. And I'm not going to put any more paint on my brush. I'm just going to dip my brush in water. And then for the rest of this side of the building, I'm just using water. And it should be a little bit lighter now over here because there's no more paint on my brush. I'm only spreading out whatever is left. Okay. Very nice. All right, you can just take your brush and give it a quick wipe right on the tablecloth or a napkin if you have. And then we are going to move into the blue, but for the blue, I want it pretty light. So I'm going to take water, just put water on your brush. Make sure you got the yellow off so you can go ahead and wipe it again if you need to. Just water. And let's go ahead and wet this whole section. It might be a little bit yellowish, that's okay. But we're just going to wet this whole section, the middle. See, I'm going right on top of my pastel and it's fine. I just want to get this side, this building good and wet so that I know that my blue won't be too dark because I want it to be pale. Okay. It's hard to see water, but I know it's wet because it's shiny. If you look at it on an angle and you see it's very shiny, you know that you've got it all covered with water. Okay. So now I'm going to put even a little bit more water on my brush. And then I'm going to dip it just a tiny bit in the blue. In fact, I'm even going to give it a little boop on the palette to get some of the blue off, okay? Then I'm going to start up here and I'm just trying to wipe off some of it. And now I can spread it out. Okay, I'm going to be careful not to paint onto the yellow building. And now I'm just going to spread this out. It's getting lighter as it goes down. See, I didn't even put any more paint on my brush. This is perfect. Just that one little boop and wiped some off, and this was perfect for the middle. Okay, so it's a little darker at the top. It got lighter as it went down. Okay, and for the next one, I'm not going to wipe my brush off because there's barely anything left on it. I'm going to dip it back in the water, and then we're going to wet this whole building. And it's okay if the building has a tiny bit of a blue tinge to it. It's fine. So we're going to wet this one. Okay, I'm going to put just a little bit more water on my brush and then a tiny little boop into the red and a dab to get some of it off. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and put most of the red at the top. Okay, and now I'll start to spread it out. And again on this one, it was just that one boop because I don't need any more. It's getting lighter as it goes down. Just spread it out. Awesome. Now whatever's left on my brush, I'm going to just go side to side, right under here. Oh, I ran out. So we'll put a little more water on the brush, wipe it across here. And then that little boop I did earlier, I'm just going to get that on my brush, that tiny bit of red. And I'm just going to spread it out. Notice I'm only doing it up here, near that shadow. And then I'm going to do a little bit at the bottom. Grab a little bit more paint. Okay, and I want a tiny bit of, so I'm going to use the water again with a little bit of yellow, wipe some off, and let's put a little bit of yellow right in here in the street. I'm just going to do it on this side, the side near the yellow building, and then it barely has any left over here. Okay, so most of my yellow is focused on this side. And then last but not least, more water on my brush, tiniest bit of that blue I'm even going to wipe some off and put a little more water on my brush. Okay. And just want it barely there. So light. That's even too dark. I'm going to put more water on it. A little goes a long way with watercolors. So I'm using a lot of water to dilute it. Otherwise, these colors are very bright and vibrant. And that's just really not the look I was going for today. Oh, I just realized that my painting was slipping and sliding. Sorry about that. So, take a look at yours, tweak it where you need to. Make sure you're happy with it. I'm just going to add a little more blue on this side. See, it's better to start with a little, and then you can just add a little more if you want to. It's just hard to take it away. Okay, and then once it's dry, you can put it in a frame. Make sure you put your initials on the corner when it's dry. And if it starts to curl up on you when it's dry, just put a book or something heavy on top of it and leave it there overnight, and then it'll lay flat again. But mine is still laying flat right now. But sometimes they do curl a little, but it can easily be flattened back out. So there you have it. Here is our little street scene in Cuba. I hope you had fun today working with oil pastels and liquid watercolors. And I will see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.